All right, it's 4 o'clock. We will call this Port of Olympia special meeting to order. It's Thursday, February 8th at 4 o'clock. We have an agenda in front of us. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? No. So at this time, we will be moving into executive session. And per RCW 42.30.110(1)G, to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment. We expect to be in executive session for 30 minutes. And so we should be back in session by 4:33, it looks like. All right, thank you, Missy. So the Port of Olympia Commission is in executive session at this time, and we are going to continue the executive session for another 20 minutes. So we will resume the regular session at 4:53. All right, thank you. This special meeting of the Port of Olympia Commission is back in session. We will continue on with our agenda approved earlier. And the next item on the agenda is Executive Director Recruitment. And I believe we will start with an update from Consultant Cliff on the process.
Good evening, commissioners and viewers. The Port of Olympia Executive Director vacancy was posted with an updated position description and a port profile in early November of 2023. The first review date was December 10th. In the Prothman Company, we don't call it a closing date, we call it a first review date. That way, if a good application comes in a day or two late, we can still review it. A total of 34 applications were submitted for this position. Several were received after that December 10 date, but all applications were reviewed. In order to provide commissioners with as many options as possible, preliminary semifinal interviews were scheduled with 16 applicants. One individual withdrew, and in a total, 15 individuals did receive semifinal interviews. Notes from those interviews and applicants' written materials, including their resume, their cover letter, and responses to the supplemental questions that were a part of the application process, were sent to commissioners on January 17th. I participated in a meeting with commissioners on January 22nd to review that material. No action was taken during that meeting, and commissioners scheduled a follow-up for January 29th. I was asked to bring forward a recommendation for possible finalists on that date. Using the lens of commissioner comments from January 22nd, I went back to the application packets and carefully re-reviewed all the material. During the January 29th meeting, in alphabetical order, I recommended Joshua Cummings, Anthony Hempstead, Alexandra Smith, and Mike Reed be considered as finalists. In open session, commissioners voted to move forward with those individuals as finalists, and all of them confirmed their continued interest in the position. The next step was a public reception that was held for the 4 candidates so that they could interact with the public. This public reception was held at the Hilton Garden Inn on February 5th. Approximately 90 people attended and had the opportunity to ask questions of all the candidates. In addition, each candidate was given 5 minutes at the microphone to introduce themselves, talk about their professional background, and outline their interest in the position. Attendees were provided with a comment card, which had a brief bio of each candidate and space to write notes regarding their conversations with the candidates. About 1/3 of the attendees, 32 comment cards, were provided to commissioners for consideration. The following day, on February 6th, all 4 candidates were interviewed by 2 different panels. One panel was the 5 port commissioners. The second panel included Ray Peters, the Intergovernmental Affairs Director of the Squaxin Island Tribe, Joel Hansen, a member of the Port of Olympia Citizen Advisory Committee, David Shafford, President and CEO of the Thurston County Chamber of Commerce. Port staff members Clarita Maddox, Ben McDonald, and Dan Musser, representing the ILWU, also participated in the panel. On the same day as the interviews, all Port staff were invited to have lunch with and interact with the 4 candidates. This lunch was well attended, and 16 Port staff members completed comment cards, which were provided to commissioners for consideration. Upon completion of the interviews, commissioners debriefed with the other panel and deliberated for a short while. No action was taken, but commissioners scheduled this follow-up special meeting. In this meeting, commissioners have also dissolved into an executive session to discuss qualifications of candidates for public office. They've completed that executive session and are now back in open public session. Any questions?
Thank you, Cliff. Now, if we have any questions for Cliff or our discussion topic or discussion that you would like to partake in, it's now would be a good time.
Okay, I move to continue the selection process for Port of Olympia Executive Director by inviting candidates Alexandra Smith and Mike Reed for a second round interview with the commissioners and releasing Joshua Cummings and Anthony Helmstead.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to continue this motion and a second to continue the process for Port of Olympia Executive Director by inviting candidates Alex Smith and Mike Reed for a second round interview with commissioners and release Josh Cummings and Anthony Hempstead. Is there any further discussion?
Oh, just I'm really excited to move forward with these 2 candidates. I think that there's no question to me at this moment that both candidates have sort of the integrity and competence to do this work. And what we're looking for is, I think for me, an understanding that with our 5 elected commissioners, that it's our role as commissioners to take responsibility for the decisions we make. And the executive director plays such a really important bridge to us by making sure they're building transparency, connecting to community, and serving the staff of the Port of Olympia. So very excited and look forward to continuing this process.
Any other comments?
Comment.
Yeah.
I just want to say I was a little nervous at the beginning of this process. It was a big lift. We were going into it with a new commission, and I was so honored to interview the 4 candidates because all of them play such a vital role in our community, and I was so excited to have 4 wonderful candidates. So thank you to all 4 candidates. And I also want to say thank you to my fellow commissioners, because I feel like this has been such a great opportunity for us to demonstrate working together to turn the page of the port with collaboration, bringing together different points of view, different voices in our community, so that we can work for the betterment of the county. And I feel like this process, and whoever ends up leading the organization, we're really setting them up to springboard off of this. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anything else? Any other comments?
I would just again say thank you to everyone here, and Cliff, thank you so much. I know it's been a huge lift, and then the second interview panel as well. I'm grateful to all of the support that was provided there, great information, and we've gotten some great stakeholder feedback as well. I especially loved reading the comment cards from staff and from the reception.
All right, thank you. Anything?
I just would like to say thank you to all the candidates. They're all amazing. They do amazing work in the community. The process of the interviews were outstanding. Cliff, thank you for that. We provided transparency with the comment cards, as well as, the reception where it was well attended. There was media there. It was an amazing opportunity to get to meet and see them mingle amongst our constituents and community members. And so I also just want to thank my fellow commissioners that the process has been ongoing, but we all work together as a team holistically and collaboratively, listening to each other, moving forward in this hiring process. And I appreciate everyone at the table and our HR, our second panelists that went through the interview. I appreciate them taking the time to participate in that interview process, and it was an amazing whole hiring process. So I'm excited to be at the table with you all, moving forward to the next round of interviews.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Well, there's nobody left to thank, so. I do actually appreciate, though, I just want to say I appreciate working with this commission and the seriousness and the professionalism that this commission took to get to where we're at now, and hopefully we can finish this up here in the next several days. So hearing no other discussion, we have a motion and a second on the floor to continue the selection process for Port of Olympia Executive Director by inviting candidates Mike Reed and Alex Smith for a second round interview with commissioners, and release candidates Josh Cummins and Anthony Hempstead. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Before we adjourn, could I ask a question? Or
Let
do
me
you have
finish
something
real
else?
quick.
Sorry.
And I just to be sure, are there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Yes, what was your question?
And I'm sorry if Cliff said this and I blacked out. The follow-up interviews, as far as the timeline, could we state the date of that so that people can anticipate when we'll be coming back into our next steps?
Yes, go ahead. Do you want me to do that?
Go ahead and say it, Cliff.
Okay, I think commissioners around the table said February 13th from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. would be a time slot that would work for all the commissioners. Generally speaking, that's about an hour and a half conversation for each of the two candidates.
And then there would be a public meeting following that.
Yes, yes. So it would be an executive session it'd be a special meeting with an executive session. Each candidate would have 90 minutes with up to 90 minutes with the commission. At completing those two interviews, you would reemerge and come into open session, and then be ready to either offer the position to one of the candidates or make a decision about an alternative process.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, this special meeting of the Port of Olympia is adjourned.
Great.
Guys.